everyone, and welcome to another episode of the MMF Films Podcast. I am your host, Paul. This is my co-host, Josh. And what are we talking about today, Josh?
We're talking about Avatar, not the blue people, particularly The Last Airbender.
That is right, Josh. And normally on the show, we talk about things that are a little bit more nostalgic to us, things from our childhood or movies from like the 80s, 90s, 2000s. But today we're going to be talking about something relevant for the first time. Even though it is like a new show, it kind of is still nostalgic for us because we grew up watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it kind of toes the line. There are definitely some moments in the new show that made me feel nostalgic. I'll say that, at the very least.
For sure.
Let's get right into it. So this show, before we get into the details of it or anything or particular thoughts, my question to you is, Josh, was it good?
I'm going to say absolutely, yeah. It was definitely exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
For an Avatar adaptation. Maybe my expectations were already so low because of the M. Night Shyamalan movie. I had to watch that as a kid on my birthday in the theater. It was very upsetting. So maybe I have a little bias there, but no, I thought the new show is very good.
You bring up a really great point there because the bar for live-action Avatar is so low. They could have had like Uncle Iroh come out and just take a shit on the floor, and it would have been better than what we previously had. But they didn't do that, and they actually did create something that heavily resembled the show.
Oh, you're talking about the new one? Yeah. No, absolutely. Everything from the casting to what I think bending would look like. I don't know, matched up very well.
Especially the visuals. One thing I could say is the costumes for every character are 1-to-1. The costume department deserves a raise. You know, there's even if you didn't like the show or you hate the fact that, you know, it's just a rehash, or you hate the fact that it's like a rehash of the original show but slightly different, you cannot deny that the costume department nailed this adaptation. Everyone from Aang all the way to the flying wheelchair kid have 1-to-1 costumes to the show. Even the lizard lady, she had the tattoo.
Yeah.
You know, same hairstyle.
Paid a lot of attention to detail. Definitely respected the original series. The set pieces, the costumes, as you said.
Exactly. And that goes a long way. You don't really realize how important that is until you see it. Like, if Aang's robes were slightly off, you know, if Katara didn't look exactly the same, you might not be as connected to what's on screen.
Yeah. No, it's like, honestly, like, not particularly Zuko and Aang, maybe exactly how I could have pictured them looking in real life. Like, they nailed it with the casting. But all around, it was very good choices. We got Abed from Community as the Mechanist.
All right, wait, hold on. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good cameos and small roles on the show that I really like. One way I think we could start this out is by just talking about the characters, the main characters, and what we thought of their performance. Do you want to do that first?
Sure.
I'll name a character. I want you to give me your thoughts on how they were in the show, and then I'll give my thoughts. So I think we could start out with Katara.
Okay. Let's see. No, I think she gave a really good performance. She acts like how I'd expect the character to act, like her, especially like in her relationship with Saka. It's like there's that banter back and forth. She's still kind of like the mom of the group, just very true to the original series. I thought she did a great job. I would say the only negative, and it's not with the performance, it's in the story arc, how like quickly she was like trying to defend Jet when it was like obvious he was like a terrorist. That was kind of that was like the only
well, that happens
nitpick.
in the cartoon.
Not to the same extent. I don't know. It was like the explosive barrels and like all this like proof and stuff. I don't know. Maybe I got to rewatch the original, but I mean, this is just nitpicking at this point. I thought it was a great performance.
Okay. For my opinion of Katara, I would say it was fine. I don't think she was anything amazing, and I don't think she was anything offensive. I think she did a good job. I don't think it was great. Like, there's some other characters we're gonna get to. I'm like, wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
But Katara, I was like, yeah, it's okay. I don't think she has the same level of passion that the voice actor had. You know, she got very tense and emotional in certain moments. I don't feel like we got any real moment of that with the new Katara. It might have been the director, it might not have been the actress. Maybe she's really great in deeply emotional scenes. But even like the anger, like Katara, when she gets pissed off, like that scene with the waterbending master, like she like screams at him when she challenges him to a fight. It really wasn't that intense in the live action version. That's what I was looking forward to.
Yeah. No, they definitely made her like a bit more, I guess, like stoic in this, less expressive. Yeah, I definitely see that.
All right, so that's my opinion of her. You know, not a bad job, but nothing really crazy. I'm excited to see how it develops. Hopefully there's some feedback out there with fans like us that inspire the characters to evolve in the way that we want them to evolve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the next character we should go to is Saka.
Okay.
What do you think of him?
Another great performance. I think it just kind of goes hand in hand with Katara because a big part of the show was like their dynamic as brother and sister. So if one of them didn't work, both of them wouldn't work. I thought they did a good job with like the humor and the one-liners and the mannerisms. Again, it's just like how I would expect Sokka to act. Everything with like the Kyoshi warriors, and it was like really funny, well done, and a great performance.
Yeah, I'm going to actually have to agree with you on this one. I think Sokka was actually great. I think I would use the word great. He not only nails the character vocally, you know, he's not trying too hard to copy the cartoon Sokka. He's kind of doing a little bit of his own take, but it still sounds enough like Sokka. And the physical acting, you know, when he's trying to be serious, it makes you think that he's like hiding something almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not really fully confident in himself yet. And then also when he's, you know, flirting with the girls and things like that, he just really does a good job of bringing that character to life. He reacts this very similar to the cartoon, how the cartoon reacted.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is Sokka's not really as funny as he is on the show, and that's kind of a common theme. You know, we'll get to other characters as well, but this is definitely a more serious take of Avatar.
Well, I would say a lot of Sokka's comedy in the cartoon was like physical and like something you could only do in a cartoon, and it's like you see someone doing that on the screen who would be like, what the hell, fuck, you know?
I don't know. I think you could still have physical comedy on screen. It's not that big of an ask. It's just the director and the writer are kind of moving away from some of the things that made Sokka really funny. It's not like a huge deal, but it's just something that I noticed. Another thing that's kind of weird with the character is his relationship with Aang develops very quickly. They almost become like best friends. You know, They laugh together, and whenever they're alone together, they do things like pranks on Katara. They often team up against her with jokes and stuff. That's kind of completely lost, and that's like a big disappointing thing for me, to be honest. I really loved that dynamic. On this show, the live action show, it feels more like Aang's his like little buddy. You know what that means? You're familiar with that term?
Maybe. I don't know. Elaborate.
It's like, you know, at like the school, like the after school camp or like the summer camp where like a fifth grader is assigned to watch
like
the kindergartner. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't feel like he's friends with him at all. It feels like he's just responsible for taking care of him.
Yeah.
There's
that's
no
definitely a big change.
There's no back and forth with them. There's no funny banter between them. That's a huge part of the Avatar cartoon. So they really got to fix that for season 2 because that's like a great element of the show that's missing.
I think it would be a good time to just segue into Aang because that kind of ties into problems I had with him as a character.
Go ahead.
I thought a defining characteristic of him in the cartoon is that he just wanted to goof off. He wanted to play games with his friends. Even when he found out about all this serious shit that happened when he was in the iceberg, like He just wanted to have fun. And they really removed that from the character. They made him very serious, just straight from the get-go, like, you know, I'm the Avatar, I have to do this a season prematurely. And they kind of got rid of a lot of that funny banter and goofiness, as you were saying.
Yeah. Aang is a kid. Aang likes to have fun. He's silly. He's goofy. When he realizes things, he's like, oh, I didn't know that. He walks around. This character is not Aang. He's not Aang.
Yep.
He knows everything already. He's monologuing 24/7. I'm the Avatar. It's my responsibility to save everyone. But what if I fail? Oh no! Like, it's not a play. There's not there's not a crowd of people there. You don't have to be that. You know, you don't have to keep monologuing.
Right.
They really need to fix
writing, that. I think, because I thought the performance was good.
The actor's a kid. He's doing a great job. You know, It's just the script that he's given, and it's what the director is giving him. They really need to go back and watch Avatar: The Last Airbender to understand how the main character is supposed to work. And it's weird, you know, you could tell they did watch the show because there's other characters that we're talking about that are really nailed. So it's weird how they missed the main character.
Yeah, I thought that was a really weird choice. I don't know why they took that direction. I thought they tried a little bit to bring that element in, like, after the first episode here and there, but overall, he was just like way too serious.
Yeah, the whole first season should have been like silly Aang with pieces of serious, and then the finale he becomes super serious.
Yeah,
you know, it should not have been from like episode 2. I'm the Avatar. This is my journey. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
It's not the vibe. It's not the character at all. But one thing I will say is the actor that plays Aang, when he is given lines to be serious that were also serious in the show, he does a great job.
Yeah.
Like when he was in the finale, when he was becoming, you know, the kaiju fish monster guy, like that was a great moment. Like he was dead serious, deadpan. I give props to that child actor. He does a great job.
I mean, like, he looks like him. The choreography was great with like the bending.
I'm not sure how much of the stunts work that he is doing because it's hard to tell with all the CGI.
Right.
But I can say
that's fair.
If any of that at all is him, he does a great job.
Yeah.
And a character that also stands out to me is our transition into the next one, Zuko. All of his karate scenes, all of his karate scenes are fantastic. That if he is doing all that stuff, props to him. You know, he's already like a karate master.
I thought he was funny when he was kind of like throwing his like tantrums and stuff. Scary force to be reckoned with when he was like in a fight, and had a great relationship with Iroh. Great dynamic there. Perfect casting choice.
I think Zuko is my favorite portrayal. He's so loyal to the original character, but he also has his own unique flavor of the character. It's not just a copy and paste. All the emotions are hit so perfectly with him. His relationship with Iroh is given so much care. It's really a win-win-win. And even his moments of teenage angst, they're not nearly as emo as they were in the cartoon, but he still conveys the emotions to the audience. So it doesn't matter that it's not as whiny, not as rude. We're still getting the message that he's Zuko, you know?
Yeah.
I'd say he's all around a thumbs up. By far the best performance on the show, at least for the child actors or the teen actors.
Yeah,
I think that's confirmed.
They definitely even, might I say, enhanced a couple aspects of the character. Like, I thought adding some other scenes with him and Iroh, like him at the son's funeral, giving him whatever it was like a medal or some kind of memento or something. I thought that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, and also the fact that he knew Iroh's son, mind blown. I must have forgot about that if they mentioned that in the original show.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he was, the toughest kid he ever knew. That was a really emotional scene. Though I think that the guy who directs the show must love that relationship, or the writers, they must love Iroh Zuko, because that is given so much care, and there are so many other relationships that are just non-existent. What the fuck happened to Aang and Katara? That is not. That is gone.
Yep.
they do not give a shit about each other at all.
No.
They obviously they're friends, but there's no like flirtatious behavior. They don't even show shots of Aang really like looking at Katara like they used to.
Yeah. Again, it's like this kid is like on a mission. Like there's like no interaction like that at all.
Yeah. And also on the show, it felt like Katara was only 1 year older than Aang. On the live action version, she looks like she's like 16 or 17 years old, and he's clearly still 12. So maybe it would just be kind of weird to show that on screen. But then again, I thought she was only supposed to be 1 year older.
That was definitely a big thing they removed. I mean, the relationship with Katara and Zuko as well. I know it's not like really anything crazy fleshed out, but like they had some kind of like relationship going, like a competitive type deal, and like they kind of glossed over that as well.
Yeah. They had a cool battle though. The one thing that I'll say, that another thing that really needs to be fixed on the show is the relationship between just the three main characters in general. Not Zuko. The relationship between Saka, Katara, and Aang.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be friends. We're supposed to see them in casual situations, you know, hanging out together, building that bond. In the finale, when Katara was like, "Your family, Aang, you're my family," I'm like, bitch, you maybe had 2 conversations with him this whole show, one-on-one, max.
Oh, you know what?
No way.
What annoyed me so much, just like a single thing I remember is like when they didn't have Katara be the one to pull him out of the Avatar state at the Air Temple. I was just like annoyed by that. Like that's just like a key like thing. He's the Hulk and she's like Scarlett Johansson or whatever, Black Widow. It's like so that was like a pivotal scene that they removed.
That's definitely important because it's like a common theme in the show. I feel like that she has to be the one to either get him out of the Avatar state, or whenever she's in danger, that's what activates his Avatar state. What do you think of Suki?
Oh, Suki? Yeah, I thought she did a good job. I don't think the original character was the most like overly complex. Like, I think it was a pretty like straightforward role to play.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Like, Suki's not that complicated of a character, but I feel like it would be very easy to miss. She like nails it right on the head. She like everything that Suki required, she delivered on. The only thing that Katie pointed out that I kind of agree with is we're not supposed to see her face. The first time that we meet her, the whole Kyoshi Island experience, she's supposed to be wearing the makeup. And then later on, when Sokka reunites with her, she's without the makeup. And that's why Sokka's not supposed to recognize her at first. They kind of ruined that when she took it off.
Yeah. I guess like maybe some of the changes are just like, yo, we don't 100% know we're going to get renewed. Maybe our cast is going to age out of the roles or whatever. They got to like do some reveals. I mean,
dude, they're going to get freaking renewed. They got to get renewed.
Yeah, they have to, but
it's definitely worth watching. Like we said in the beginning of the podcast, you know, it's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely worth watching. So, Josh, what do you think of Azula?
Not too memorable. I thought she was less like scary and serious and calculating and more just like a whiny little sister who's just like jealous of Zuko. Like that's more the vibe I got. Like Dad, like the general was responsible for this. He's like, no, it was Zuko. Like she just seemed more whiny than anything else.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I think that this is another complete miss. It's so conflicting watching this show. It's like they nail some stuff so well, and then other things they completely drop the ball. Azula,
as a complete package, I thought it was just really good, but then some elements.
There are areas of really bad shit. But Azula's character on the show, she is like evil, but she's charismatic. Like she's a great heel. Like you like to hear her talk. But at the same time, you know, she frustrates the hell out of you because she's always giving our heroes so much shit. She's intimidating. You know, she's fierce. You know, when she needs to get loud and angry, you know, she has the ability to. This character was like none of those things. She was so blah every word that came out of her mouth. She didn't have an ounce of intimidation, no fear for the other characters. what is this? This is not Azula. Especially that last scene when she captured Omashu and she was giving a speech. Dude, pretend this is a chalkboard, bro. Like I just wanted to turn off the TV. I couldn't take it. That was like the worst war speech I've ever seen in any show or movie or anything. That was terrible.
I'll be honest, like, to your point that she's a bland character, I don't even remember that speech. So,
see? Yeah, that was the worst moment of her dialogue. May and Ty Lee, we haven't seen enough of them. May doesn't really look like May on the show. The costume, of course, does. But Ty Lee, I can see it in the eyes. Ty Lee, she looks like Ty Lee.
Yeah. Yeah, another pretty, like, straightforward character, for sure.
Yeah, but May is going to have to be, Zuko's love interest eventually. So I don't know how that's going to work out because I don't know if they're going to have chemistry or not. We'll have to wait to see because that was a big part of the original show as well.
True.
Remember the scene with the seashell? I love that scene from season 3.
What, when they're at the beach house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Zuko gives May the seashell, and he goes, "I got this for you." And she goes, "Why would I want that?" I love their banter. All right, so we can move on. Iroh, I think we could both say flawless.
Yeah.
At first, I was skeptical, but then as more and more he talked, I was like, more and more, this is Iroh.
Yep.
All he cares about is Zuko. He just wants to protect him.
Yeah, and just like the simple things, like, Zuko's going after the Avatar, and then Iroh's subtly redirecting him away from that just by I need to go get this food or have my tea or whatever.
And you know what else I was thinking about? When he's talking about the Pai Gow game, is he really just having a White Lotus meeting and that's just his cover for that? I never thought about honestly, it like that.
I'm not sure.
He talks about it a couple times in the original show too. He talks about Pai Gow. Whenever he goes away to play Pai Gow, is he really just having a White Lotus meeting?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that theory. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. What about Appa and Momo?
Not much personality to them. I mean, they look the part, but just very one-dimensional. Mid.
Dude, my sister texted me, "Oh my god, Appa's so cute. He reminds me of our dog, blah, blah, blah." I don't know, dude. I can't get into it. He's not cute. He's like a blob of CGI to me. Mm-hmm. I can't. When I know something's not real and it just looks so CGI, it's very hard for me. I mean, of course, there's probably certain cases like a Pixar movie or something when the whole thing is animated. But when you have live action characters interacting, all I can picture in my mind is Aang hugging a green wall. I can't see that being a real creature.
Right. No, that plays into it, and even in just the writing, it's not they're not portraying that Aang and Appa are connected in any way. It's he's just his ride.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it is what it is. I'm not gonna harp on about how it's not good. I'm just not going to pretend that I love Appa. I felt way more emotion for the one in the cartoon, to say the least.
For sure.
So we got a few different avatars in the show, and I thought it was really cool, especially Avatar Koruk, because he was so cool in the cartoon.
He's the water tribe, right?
Yeah, we saw so little of him, but the clips we did see, he was surfing and stuff. I always wanted to learn more about him. I thought he was a really cool potential to learn more about, his lore and everything. But I hated it. As soon as he came on screen, he was like Luke in The Last Jedi. He's like, "I give up on the Avatar ways. There's no way to solve this. Everyone's going to die." I hated him. As soon as he got on the screen, I got excited. And then first sentence, I immediately lost it.
Yeah, it just felt like a retcon plot point. The reason you haven't heard of me is because... Or it's like Captain Marvel. She was off planet. It's I was in the spirit world. Captain Marvel. She's fighting the war on another planet.
I was not into it at all, and it's really disappointing because all these years I always wanted to learn more about him, and as soon as I did, I just wanted him off screen. But I loved Roku. I always loved Roku. Whenever he spoke to Aang in the original show, They kind of made him more like a Boomie character, like he was kind of silly and goofy. I was okay with it. I would have preferred to have more of the Roku from the cartoon, but I still really enjoyed Roku's screen time.
Yeah. I liked how they included like Avatar Kyoshi as well. So they kind of took the role that that Roku took, where like he appeared in the battle to fight for Aang, replaced out with Kyoshi. I thought it was just cool to see another Avatar like in action. So no complaints there.
Avatar Kyoshi was cool, but what, dude? That scene where Aang was talking to her lasted way too long. It was like they just kept going in circles and saying the same thing over and over again. They kept cutting back to Aang, and she'd be like, "The Avatar needs to be a fierce warrior. The Avatar needs to be a fierce warrior. The Avatar needs to strike fear in the enemies. The Avatar needs to do that." It's like, get to the fucking point, let's move on. Because they would go to a scene for like 3 or 4 minutes and then cut back to it, and she was always saying the same shit. That scene went on for way too long, but I agree that Kyoshi looked great, and it was really cool to see her, in live action kicking ass. What do you think of the spirit world? I thought Katie hated the fact that they brought in the owl. She said that should have been for the library, and that's it. They introduced him way too early.
Yeah, I feel like if I hadn't watched the original show, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, but I'm like, yeah, like, why would you swap it like that? This doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah. Bro, how about my Fire Lord Ozai, dude? Is this a lost reunion, dude? I was screaming at the TV, full fanboy mode. We got Jin as Fire Lord Ozai. We got Miles as General Zhao. We got the guy from the Dharma Initiative as one of the Fire Sages. Every time a new lost character popped up on screen, huge pop from me. I half expected to see, like, Sun walking around, somewhere in the Fire Nation after seeing all three of those guys pop up.
This is another example where Ozai's character, it was actually like enhanced in this versus the cartoon. I think they added more nuance to him. He's not just like, this is an evil guy. Like, oh, why did he do this? Oh, he's just evil. There's at least some kind of justification to it, even if it's kind of twisted. Made him more of like a complex character.
Yeah, I love Fire Lord Ozai. The only problem for me is, and this is just me because I'm a Lost fan, when I see Jin's face, I have like, this is a good guy, a wholesome guy, emotion so strongly embedded into my core that it's so hard for me to look at him and think that he's evil. But I love him so much that I still have a smile. So maybe it'll take a few more like fucked up things that he does as the show goes on, and then I'll fully buy him as Lord Ozai. Mm-hmm. But right now it's like, oh my god, it's Jin. Oh my god, it's Jin. Oh my god, it's Jin. Every time I see him,
Yeah, I mean, Breaking Bad, I'm sure you had the same reaction originally, and then,
but
can't deny
that's a little bit different. He's on screen the whole show. Lord Ozai is like maybe in 7-8 minutes.
True.
Every episode total, max.
We're going to have to see him do some real fucked up shit to turn against him.
Exactly. So, some of the other side characters that are from the cartoon, what do you think of Boomie?
I think that was the worst performance of the entire show.
And why is that?
I mean, they turned him from like a goofy, wise, calculating character to just like a bitter former friend. He just wants to torture Aang because like he didn't have to. Back in my day, I used to hike over mountains to get to school. Like, that's the vibe. I think he was just a very unlikable character.
Yeah, I would say the Boomie from the cartoon was a little bit more charming. He definitely did test Aang. That element was true, but it wasn't as intense and aggressive as it was in the live action version. I thought they could have toned it down a little bit. He's supposed to be his friend, and then he tests him, with the fight and the earthbending and everything. I don't know. They kind of went a little too far with like the assholeness of Boomie. But I was still glad that we got that, that cute shot of them riding down the slide together.
Yeah.
And they're like, wee! At the end of the episode. That was cute. I liked that. What'd you think of Master Pakao?
Fuck, I forget which one that is.
He's the waterbending northern tribe master.
I have a gripe, not necessarily with the character, but how it played out with Katara, where she's just like suddenly a master, like waterbender. He was convinced to start teaching her. Oh, I actually don't need you as a teacher. I thought that was like a a weird thing to change.
I don't remember exactly on the cartoon. If that happened in the cartoon, I have no problem with it. But if there is less liberties with her, then yeah, I guess that's a little weird to kind of jump the gun on that. Like, she's still new to waterbending, but
right.
I have a feeling that it's very close to what we saw in the cartoon. So I'm not as troubled with that scene as you might be. But I thought the character itself, Master Pacquiao, for what it was, it's pretty close to the cartoon. I didn't have any problem with it. I thought it was a good portrayal.
Yeah.
He was still like a dick when he needed to be a dick. Like, it's really not hard to play that character, and the guy nailed it. So,
yeah,
it's not
and
a problem.
The fight was really cool.
Yeah,
really
and when they had that cool bending fight. What do you think of Gyatso? Master Gyatso? Airbending?
Oh.
Master?
No, I thought he was so really good character. Like, the relationship he had with Aang, I like how they added more context to their relationship, like, before the events of the cartoon, just to like drive home like how close they were and how much of an influence he was on Aang. Just thought he was a really good character.
I loved it too. I really liked that scene in the spirit world where he reunites with Aang. I thought that was so cute. Especially when he had to cheat on the game for Aang to realize that it really was him. The only thing I didn't really like was when the Fire Nation was attacking. I felt like they kind of did him a little dirty. I felt like he could have put up better of a fight. That last shot of him, he's just like, getting burnt alive.
Right. No, in the show, it's like he's surrounded. In the show, he's like surrounded by like 15 dead firebenders.
Like, I know. We should have got that.
I mean, the cartoon, yeah. But yeah, that was a little.
We didn't get that. I was kind of mad that he didn't put up a better fight. But I will say, I like how the show shows us a lot of moments that we only heard about on the show. And one of the coolest moments that I thought we got to see was the initial assault on the air temple.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool seeing like airbenders like fight as a group, because that's something we've never really seen before. Besides like Aang's children, but I don't really count that. I'm talking about like the air nomads, like the actual airbenders.
Right. And it kind of like added a bit of an explanation about like how they were able to ambush them and like surprise them like that and just wipe them all out. Definitely explained it a lot better.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think we covered pretty much, all the major characters on the show. We brushed over General Zhao. Actually, let's go back to General Zhao, the actor that plays Miles from Lost as General Zhao. I forget the actor's name, but he might be the best performance on the show, low key. He is so easily deceiving, serious, intimidating. He's like the ultimate like weasel, like pulling it out from under you, taking power, stealing opportunities, and like low key, he might be the best performance of the show. Did he die? I forget if he dies at the end.
I know in the cartoon he does. I forget in the new show.
I feel like he just falls off a cliff. We don't really know if he dies or not on the live action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the cartoon he just gets like grabbed by the ocean spirit, and it's like, yeah, he's dead.
He's fucked. But wow, he took it so seriously and he knocked it out of the park. All the Lost actors are fantastic. Some of the guys like really didn't do that much after Lost, but it always warms my heart when I see like one of them doing something else and it just pops up. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah. Now the creator must have been a fan of Lost. I mean,
definitely,
pretty clear.
Yeah. As cool as it was seeing scenes that we hadn't seen from the cartoon, like the attack on the air temple, I would say some stuff that was really one-to-one started to take me out of it a little bit. I hate to say it, but like the war on the Northern Water Tribe, after seeing it in the cartoon and then seeing it in the live-action movie that was terrible in 2010, and then seeing it again, it was almost like, why am I watching this? I should just go back and watch the cartoon. It was almost one-to-one, especially towards the end when they were at the fish pond and Aang was becoming the kaiju. And I don't really like that. I feel like the best parts of remakes are when they keep the same frame, but they differentiate a little bit just to keep it fresh. When it's one-to-one, the same exact thing, it almost feels like a waste of film. Like you're just doing the exact same thing. Like where's the originality?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moments in the show that doesn't apply to. But that whole sequence, I was just thinking to myself, like, all right, let's wrap this up. I've already seen this like 5 times.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say they did a really good job of recreating it. Yeah, they definitely could have enhanced it. I mean, there's potential to do it, but
yeah,
for what it was, I mean, yeah, it was really good. It's like, good replication.
So the show is only 8 episodes long. So a lot of the relationships, like we were talking about earlier, with Saka, Aang, Katara, when you have a show that's 30 episodes long a season, you have time to build those friendships subtly and, grow and prosper. On this show, I feel like almost if you never saw the cartoon, you wouldn't even really think that they're that close of friends. Like, we never see them just casually hanging out because they don't have enough time. Maybe it should have been like a 12-episode series, not an 8-episode season.
Yeah,
maybe that would have helped it. But they don't, hang out. They don't really enjoy each other's company. They're not really making jokes or laughing at all. So, in my head, I've seen all the things that were in the cartoon, so I don't need that. But I feel like if you didn't watch the cartoon, you might not like you might not even enjoy the show that much.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. You're kind of filling in a lot of the gaps just with what you've already seen.
Yeah,
and I think that's the source of all the negatives about the show is just like the runtime, for sure.
Yeah, as a super fan, they really do cater to us. I love the show. I've watched it several times. My girlfriend is like the biggest fan in the world of this show. It's her favorite show ever. And the thing that I liked a lot about it is even though there was only 8 episodes, obviously you can't fit 30 episodes worth of shit into the 8 episodes. But they'll take pieces, like important moments that they know the super fans love.
Right.
And they'll kind of combine like 2 or 3 episodes into one.
Mm-hmm.
The moments that really stuck out to me that I appreciated, catering to the meme and stuff, were obviously my cabbages. They had to include that.
Of course.
That was awesome to see in live action. And then another great moment, the Secret Tunnel song, dude. I got goosebumps of happiness when I saw that scene. I've always been singing that for years now, Secret Tunnel. Remember at band practice when me and Diego were singing it into the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, we should do a cover of this for our next show. But I just love that song. And in the earlier episodes, because they were skipping over so much, we figured it out by like episode 2 or 3. I said to Katie, we're probably not going to get to see the Secret Tunnel song. And sure enough, out of nowhere, they kept saying the word secret tunnels with that scene with Abed from Community. They kept saying the word secret tunnel. I was like, they're not just saying that by accident. They're trying to acknowledge that the tunnel they're going into is secret. And then finally they saw the minstrels playing, and I knew it had to happen. Even up to the last second, when they started to leave, and then you heard them singing the song in the background. Like, that's like the ultimate troll. Imagine we didn't hear them do the chorus and they just cut away. That would have been like the ultimate fucking troll on the diehard Avatar fans. But no, we got to hear that chorus. And not only that, we got to cut back to the band, see them singing and dancing, and they sang the whole thing. And I was so grateful for that moment as an Avatar fan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Another cool thing is the episodes that they just couldn't justify to put in, right? They just didn't have enough time to create the plot and just go into it. I liked how they still acknowledged that there were episodes we went past. That one scene in the bar when one of the bar patrons was like, I heard the Avatar was at some canyon fighting a monster. I heard the Avatar was messing with some pirates. It was so cool to hear that because, the cartoon episodes that we saw are now automatic lore. They're part of this universe.
Right.
But we didn't have to go through the motions and see the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, if we had to see, everything from the cartoon, that would be a little too much. certain things just aren't meant for like live TV.
Yeah, or if you only have 8 episodes, you can't put all the filler episodes in there, like the Grand Canyon or the Great Divide, whatever it was called. You know that I never really thought that episode was that terrible. It's obviously a filler episode, but the Avatar fan base online, on like Reddit threads and stuff, they hate that one. Some people say it's the worst episode. I wouldn't say it's corny, the worst one.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, but even the writers acknowledge it in the amazing episode, the one with the play, where they acknowledge all the jokes of the show. I think at one point they said, let's visit that canyon. And then one of the other characters was like, no, let's skip that. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So they're like pretty like self-aware.
Yeah. That's something I feel like they won't be able to do in the live action version. It
would be a little too on the nose.
Yeah. The beach episode, I also think might be a stretch. That's one of my favorite episodes. But I can't really see it with the tone that they're doing. I just can't wait to see the next season. I'm really excited too to see when Zuko becomes good, because that whole storyline was always so magical. Like
the best arc of the show, like next to Aang himself. So absolutely,
exactly. Also, will Boom Man be played by Batista, the Sonic Boom guy? He looks just like Batista. Everyone's always saying that, if they ever do a live action version of him, will they get Batista to play him? If they do not get Batista to play the Sonic Boom guy, they fucked up.
Yeah.
Batista from WWE, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that
Look up a picture of the Sonic Boom guy.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. He has the eye on his forehead. He shoots the beams out of his eye. Yeah, no. Drax would be a great choice.
Watch him,
cast The Rock or something.
Maybe they'll cast The Rock for the Boulder.
They have to.
That would be awesome. What episodes in particular, or what scenes from the cartoon do you want to see from the next 2 seasons of Avatar? Like, what's a must-see?
I want to see Iroh in prison secretly, like, getting jacked and then busting out of the cell. I have to see that shit.
I'm sure that will happen. That's pretty important.
The library.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Is the owl going to be like, hello again?
Probably. Obviously, as we mentioned, the match between the Boulder and Toph with The Rock.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Toph's character introduction has to be cool. I feel like season 3 might actually be my favorite season, which is kind of a different take. It would be cool to see them go to the prison, Saka and Zuko. They might do it, or they'll at least include the moon line in the show. They're already kind of planting that. Netflix has released videos where they got the original actors and the new actors to do like a red carpet together. Right. And they had Sokka say, "My girlfriend turned into the moon," and then they had the Zukos go, "That's rough, buddy." Yeah. So even if they don't do the prison episode, I'm sure they'll find a way to squeeze that line into the show. They definitely will. Aang visiting the fire school. I don't know if they'll show that either, but that's really cool. That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Oh, the fucking bloodbending episode, dude. You think they'll do that?
They got to do that.
That was crazy, dude. That on the original show too. That was by far the scariest episode for me. Like, even as an adult, like, it's creepy. It's like a horror episode, basically.
Yeah.
All those people trapped under the witch's house. Like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, no, I agree. That would be a great scene to see live action.
It's another element of the cartoon that they never really acknowledged out loud?
What?
So Katara says, "I will never bloodbend. Like, you'll never make me bloodbend, blah, blah, blah." There's an episode where she's going after the fire admiral or whatever that killed her mom. And she, like, bloodbends him to the ground and, like, tortures him. But they never actually say it out loud. Like, they never said, "Oh, shit, Katara's bloodbending." But she did. It's like a subtle little, like, moment on the show where, if you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you didn't. But she did say, "I'll never bloodbend," and then she did. Ooh.
I mean, of all times for her to do it, it's, like, understandable.
Exactly. So maybe it was worthy for that one moment. That's the guy who killed her mom, so you just like wanted to really fucking torture him.
I don't know if we'll see that with this Katara though, as you're saying, like the emotionality and the aggression wasn't really there.
I believe the actress has the ability to do it. I think the director just needs to stop saying, "Oh, that take was good." You got to do another take, do another take. Especially that freaking speech at Omashu with Azula. It was almost like it looks like that was the first take. Like, we captured Omashu. Like, they'll be like,
it was the end of the day.
Soldiers.
They just wanted to go home.
We captured Omashu. Yeah.
Everyone just wanted to go home. So first take.
Yeah, she just doesn't look scary at all, dude. Azula is like a total toilet flush. I would have found somebody else who could make more scary and more intimidating faces.
Yeah.
Just like, we captured Omashu. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but another thing that I noticed real quick?
What?
Where the fuck is Aang's waterbending, dude? I know he did the shit with the kaiju
How the fuck
at
did
the
I
end.
not even think to say that? That was like dumb that they didn't have him. Yeah. The chapter is called Water. Oh, it's called Aang in the live action, but still. The whole point of it is that he's supposed to learn water in this season.
Yeah, and Katara is the one, that scene by the river where she's messing with the water. I was like, oh, Aang's going to waterbend for the first time here. But he didn't.
He's just like, I can't.
On the cartoon, he starts waterbending, and he's like, oh, cool. And Katara is jealous because he's doing it better than her.
Yeah.
But they just cut that whole fucking scene out. What was that all about?
Yeah, that made no sense at all. They definitely could have cut down on a little bit of the fan service to at least have the guy fucking waterbend.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like I said, he did the monster thing, but that was it. That was his only waterbending. And is that really waterbending, or is that just letting a creature possess him? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Even despite all the negative things we had to say about the show, I will still say I had a really fun time binge watching it over the course of 3 days. I think I watched the whole show. My girlfriend and I enjoyed all the moments that we saw, and that all the nostalgia that was brought up. So I'll still give it a thumbs up. Especially if you're a really big Avatar fan, you will enjoy it. If you haven't seen Avatar, I'm not really sure. I feel like I might be a little bit more critical of things if I hadn't seen the original show. But if anyone watched this or is watching this and wants to let us know how they thought of the show and they hadn't seen the cartoon, please, I'd love to hear your opinion. Josh, do you have any final thoughts about the show?
I would just say that at its worst, it was probably a 5. At its best, it was 8 or 9 out of 10. So
it's average it out to a 6.5 or 7.
All right, maybe a little higher then. I really enjoyed it at the time. I just there's also just a lot of negatives, so it's hard.
Yeah, there's just crucial flaws. It's like you have, the statue of David, but there's bird poop stains all over it. Underneath, you see something that's beautiful, but you gotta clean it up a little bit,
Yeah. I think it was.
Do you like that analogy? I just came up with that on the spot.
I do. Very profound.
But yeah, I can't wait to see season 2. I think they could only really go up from here. I think the actors will just get better and more chemistry. My biggest thing is just let Sokka and Aang become friends. Let Katara and Aang become friends. Build that relationship. Let Aang be silly. Let's see him pranking people. Let's see him playing jokes. That's the biggest complaint.
That seemed like a very intentional decision, and I don't know. I just don't understand why. Maybe they want to be like Game of Thrones. I don't know.
I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for coming on the show again, Josh. Hopefully Nick will be back soon. But in the meantime, I appreciate you filling in. And we will see you guys 2 weeks from now for another episode of the MMF and another episode of Goblin Talk next week. Woo!
All right.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone.